All right, everyone get ready, because today we are going deep, deep, deep into A Course in Miracles.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically, Chapter 1, Section 7,
Okay.
on wholeness and spirit.
Nice.
We're going to be using, pulling some insights from a really cool blog called weiwat.
Wait, what?
Great blog.
Which I think does a really cool job at making this very dense, sometimes very dense material.
Yeah,
Surprisingly relatable.
it really is.
So I think like a good analogy for what we're going to be talking about today is
Okay.
imagine life is a puzzle.
Okay.
And we all have these miracle impulses, you know, these urges to create and connect. It's like finding that perfect piece.
I love that.
But sometimes we get things mixed up.
Oh,
You know,
totally.
We're trying to force a piece where it doesn't belong.
We've all been there.
And this section, I think, really helps us understand those misplaced pieces
It does.
and how to find where they truly fit.
Well, and what's so fascinating about this section is that it speaks to something we all experience, you know, that innate desire to connect, to create, to experience true joy.
Yeah.
It's like we're all wired for wholeness,
Right.
even if we don't always know how to access it.
So it's like we have this inner GPS system
Yes.
guiding us toward wholeness.
Yes.
But sometimes we end up taking a detour through like
Yeah.
a cosmic amusement park
That's a great way to put it.
full of distractions and detours.
100%. And this section helps us recognize those detours.
Yeah.
You know, those misplaced pieces, as you called them earlier.
Right.
And it helps us get back on track.
So where do we even begin to untangle this?
Well,
What are some of those misplaced pieces that trip us up?
it starts with understanding something called miracle impulses.
Okay.
These are those inherent urges we all have to create to connect, to express love.
Yeah.
Think of them as the purest form of our desires, the kind that come from a place of wholeness rather than lack.
So these miracle impulses are like those moments when you feel inspired to help someone out of the blue, or when you suddenly get a creative spark and just have to paint or write or
yeah.
build something.
Absolutely.
Like you're not doing it for external validation. It just feels right.
Exactly. But here's where things get interesting.
Okay.
Sometimes our perception of these miracle impulses gets a little distorted.
Okay.
Like looking through a fogged up window,
Okay.
we might mistake a true miracle impulse
Mm.
for a more superficial desire.
Okay.
Like thinking we need another slice of pizza, when what we're really craving is a deeper connection with friends or a creative outlet.
Oh, wow. That makes so much sense.
Right.
It's like thinking you need to buy a new outfit to feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
When what you really need is a boost of self-love and acceptance.
Yes.
Or like in those classic rom-coms where
Yeah.
the character chases after the wrong person
Mhm.
because they haven't figured out what they truly want in a relationship.
You're getting it. And A Course in Miracles points out that these distorted perceptions often lead us to seek fulfillment in the wrong places. Like trying to quench our thirst with food or in those rom-com scenarios.
Yeah.
Mistaking fleeting infatuation for true love.
Right.
The key takeaway here is that true joy and fulfillment come from aligning with our authentic selves,
Okay.
not from external things.
So it's like Gatsby throwing those lavish parties in The Great Gatsby,
Right.
thinking that's the key to happiness when what he really craves is a deeper connection with Daisy.
Precisely.
He's chasing after a fantasy
He is.
instead of addressing the real longing within him.
And this brings us to another crucial concept, the body as a tool.
Now, before you jump in with a joke about my body being a tool for pizza delivery.
Right. Well, in A Course in Miracles, the body is seen as an instrument for expressing our true selves,
Okay.
not the end goal itself. Think of it like a flashlight in a dark room.
Mm-hmm.
The flashlight isn't the source of light itself,
Right.
but it helps you navigate and see things you wouldn't be able to otherwise.
Okay, so it's like in The Matrix, how Neo realizes that his physical body is just a tool within a larger reality. Exactly. Learns to use his body in ways he never imagined possible. But it's his understanding of that larger reality that empowers him.
Exactly. And that's a great example of how our bodies can become instruments for extending love, forgiveness, and ultimately experiencing the wholeness that's already within us.
So it's not about denying our physical needs
No.
or striving for some unattainable ideal of perfection,
No.
but about recognizing the incredible potential of our bodies to help us connect with something greater.
Absolutely. It's about shifting our perspective from seeing the body as a source of limitation to seeing it as a vehicle for expressing our true selves,
Right.
for bringing those miracle impulses into the world.
Okay, so we've got miracle impulses, distorted perceptions.
Yes.
And the body as a tool.
We do.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is.
But it's starting to paint a clearer picture of this idea of wholeness.
And that's where things get really interesting, because A Course in Miracles doesn't just give us a conceptual framework. It also provides practical tools for dismantling those distortions and accessing that wholeness within.
So it's like we've been given a map and a compass
to
navigate this inner terrain. Sign me up.
Exactly. And one of the first landmarks on this map is understanding the role of fantasies.
Okay.
Now, I'm not talking about harmless daydreams.
Right.
I'm talking about those deeply ingrained beliefs and expectations that distort our perception of reality and prevent us from experiencing true joy.
Fantasies. Yes. Those seductive illusions that promise happiness, but ultimately leave us feeling well disillusioned.
Yes.
It's like those reality dating shows. Right. Everyone's vying for a fairy tale ending, but real life is way more complex and nuanced than that.
That's a great analogy. And A Course in Miracles points out that these fantasies are like funhouse mirrors, distorting our perception and leading us down a maze of false expectations.
It's like trying to navigate a maze blindfolded. You might think you're making progress.
Right.
But you're just bumping into walls and getting more lost.
Precisely.
Yeah.
We try to force reality to fit our fantasies.
Right.
Instead of accepting things as they are and working with them.
Okay.
And that's where the inner tyranny comes in.
Right.
Fantasies create this constant pressure to control and manipulate reality to fit our own desires.
Okay.
Which is exhausting and ultimately prevents us from experiencing true freedom.
So fantasies are the problem.
Yes.
What's the solution?
Well,
do we need to become fantasy-free zones?
No, not at all.
Like those sterile, overly organized homes you see in magazines where it feels like nobody actually lives there.
It's not about denying our imagination or trying to erase all desires. It's about shifting our focus from fantasies to miracles.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Miracles.
Yes.
Isn't that a bit, well, magical?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
In the context of A Course in Miracles, miracles are simply acts of love and connection that stem from a clear and undistorted perception of reality.
So instead of trying to bend reality to our will, we should be focusing on connecting with others.
Yes.
And expressing love authentically.
That's the idea. And the more we practice this, the less reliant we become on those flimsy fantasies for happiness.
It's like building a solid foundation for our spiritual house.
Yes.
Instead of propping it up with flimsy illusions.
That's a fantastic analogy.
Right.
And that brings us to the importance of understanding the foundational concepts of A Course in Miracles.
Okay.
It's like a mental workout routine. You wouldn't try to bench press 200 pounds without first mastering the basics, right?
Definitely not. My back would never forgive me.
Same goes for our minds.
Right.
If we try to jump into the more advanced concepts without a strong foundation, we're likely to feel overwhelmed and confused.
So it's about taking things step by step.
Absolutely.
And not getting ahead of ourselves.
Think of it like learning a new language. You need to master the alphabet and basic grammar before you can start writing poetry.
Makes sense. So where does the concept of awe fit into all of this?
Okay.
It seems like a pretty powerful emotion.
Awe can be a powerful force in our spiritual journey.
Yeah.
But it can also be a bit tricky.
Okay.
Kind of like that friend who means well but sometimes says the wrong thing at the wrong time.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Give me an example.
Imagine you're on a basketball team, and every time one of your teammates makes a simple pass, everyone's like, oh my God, that was amazing. It would be a bit much, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would get old pretty fast.
Right.
And kind of diminish the impact of those truly spectacular plays, you know?
Exactly.
Like save the awe for the slam dunks and game-winning shots.
Exactly. Awe is appropriate when directed towards something truly transcendent, like the vastness of the universe or the power of love.
Yeah.
But when it's misplaced,
it
can create unnecessary confusion and even fear.
So it's about understanding the difference between genuine awe and just being impressed by everyday things.
Yes.
Like there's a time and place for being awestruck by a double rainbow, but maybe not so much by someone's ability to perfectly fold a fitted sheet.
Precisely. And that understanding comes from building a strong foundation in the core principles of A Course in Miracles, which helps us discern where awe truly belongs and where it might be a sign of something else.
Okay, so we've talked about miracle impulses.
Yes.
The body as a tool.
Yes.
Breaking free from fantasies and building a solid mental foundation.
We have.
It's a lot to digest.
It is.
But I'm already feeling a shift in my perspective.
That's great to hear. And remember, this is just the beginning of our deep dive into wholeness and spirit.
Okay.
There's so much more to uncover.
And we'll be back soon with part 2 of this deep dive to explore even more of these fascinating concepts.
We will.
Until then, keep pondering those miracle impulses.
Yes.
And maybe try folding a fitting sheet.
Yeah.
You never know. It could be a gateway to spiritual enlightenment.
Well, maybe not quite, but hey, a little domestic awe never hurt anyone.
That's true. All right, we'll see you guys next time.
See you later.
Wait, what?
Welcome back, deep divers. I'm still buzzing from our last conversation about miracle impulses and the body as a tool.
Yeah.
It's like we've stumbled upon this secret decoder ring for understanding life's deeper meaning.
And we're just getting started.
Not really.
There's so much more to unpack in this section of A Course in Miracles.
Well, I'm ready to dive back in. Where do we go from here?
Let's revisit that concept of app for a moment.
Okay.
We talked about how it can be both inspiring and confusing depending on where it's directed.
Right.
But there's another layer to this idea that's worth exploring.
Oh, I'm all ears. Tell me more.
In Miracles, there's this emphasis on recognizing the inherent equality of all beings.
Okay.
And when we direct awe towards our equals, it can actually create a sense of separation rather than unity.
Equals you mean like other people?
Exactly. We're all on this journey together, and no one person is inherently more worthy of awe than another. It's like being on a sports team where everyone has their role to play, and no one player is inherently superior to another.
Okay, I see what you mean. Just like in those cheesy superhero movies.
Right.
Where the sidekick is constantly in awe of the hero's powers. It gets a bit tiresome, doesn't it?
It does.
Like, come on, you're both fighting the same bad guys.
Yeah.
You're a team.
Precisely. And in A Course in Miracles, the real superpower lies in recognizing our shared humanity.
Right.
And our interconnectedness with all beings.
Yeah.
When we direct awe towards others, it's like putting them on a pedestal, which creates a distance between us.
Right.
Rather than fostering a sense of connection.
So it's like those celebrity obsessions where people put their idols on such a high pedestal that they lose sight of the fact that those celebrities are just regular people with flaws and vulnerabilities, just like everyone else.
That's a great example. It's about recognizing that we're all in this together, that we all have our strengths and weaknesses, and that we're all worthy of love and compassion regardless of our accomplishments or external appearances.
So where does true awe belong then? What should we be directing it towards?
True awe is reserved for experiences that connect us to the divine, to the source of all creation.
Okay.
Think of standing on a mountaintop, gazing at the stars, or witnessing a breathtaking sunset.
Wow. I can almost feel that sense of awe just thinking about those experiences.
Right.
It's like that scene in The Lion King where Simba sees his reflection in the water and realizes his connection to the great kings of the past. It's a moment of profound connection to something much bigger than himself.
Exactly. True awe helps us break free from the limitations of our ego and tap into a deeper sense of purpose and belonging.
No.
It's about recognizing that we're part of something vast and magnificent and that our individual lives have meaning and purpose within that larger context.
So we've talked about the importance of not misplacing awe and recognizing our inherent equality. What other pitfalls should we be aware of as we explore these concepts of wholeness and spirit?
One common mistake is rushing into the more advanced teachings without fully grasping the foundational principles. Remember that analogy of the mental workout routine?
Yeah, you wouldn't try to bench press 200 pounds without first mastering the basics. Otherwise, you'd end up like that guy in the gym who tries to show off and ends up pulling a muscle.
Right. And the same goes for our spiritual development. If we try to jump ahead without a solid foundation, we're likely to feel overwhelmed and discouraged.
It's like trying to learn advanced calculus before understanding basic arithmetic.
Mm-hmm.
You're just setting yourself up for frustration or like trying to perform brain surgery after watching a couple of YouTube videos.
Exactly. It's important to approach A Course in Miracles with a sense of patience and humility, allowing the teachings to unfold naturally as we build our understanding. It's a journey of self-discovery and transformation that requires dedication, perseverance, and a willingness to embrace the process.
So it's more like a marathon than a sprint. Like we need to pace ourselves, hydrate, and maybe invest in some good running shoes.
That's a perfect analogy. And just like a marathon, the rewards are well worth the effort. As we deepen our understanding of wholeness and spirit, we start to experience a sense of inner peace and joy that's independent of external circumstances.
It's like finding that inner sanctuary where you can always retreat no matter what's happening in the outside world, kind of like that room of requirement in Harry Potter. It appears when you need it most, and it provides exactly what you need in that moment.
Exactly. And the more we cultivate this inner sanctuary, the more we're able to extend that peace and joy to others. Remember, our miracle impulses are all about connection and love.
So as we deepen our own understanding of wholeness and spirit, we naturally become more loving and compassionate towards others, like our capacity to connect with others expands.
That's the beautiful thing about A Course in Miracles. It's not just about personal transformation. It's about extending that transformation outwards to create a more loving and peaceful world. It's like that ripple effect you see when you throw a stone into a pond.
I love that it's like we're all pieces of a giant puzzle, and as each of us finds our rightful place, the picture becomes clearer and more beautiful.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And speaking of finding our rightful place, let's dive back into the concept of the body as a tool.
Okay, the body is a tool. I remember we talked about it earlier, but I'm still wrapping my head around that idea. It's like, I get it conceptually, but it's hard to shift away from that ingrained belief that our bodies are primarily physical objects.
Well, remember that analogy of the flashlight in a dark room?
Yeah, the flashlight helps us see what's around us, but it's not the source of light itself. It's like saying, hey, this flashlight is pretty cool, but what I'm really interested in is understanding the nature of light itself.
Exactly. And our bodies are like that flashlight. They're tools that allow us to experience the world and express our miracle impulses, but they're not the ultimate source of our being.
So instead of getting caught up in our physical appearance or limitations, we should be focusing on how we can use our bodies to connect with something greater. Like, instead of obsessing over how many likes our latest selfie got, maybe we should be asking ourselves, how can I use this body to bring more love and kindness into the world?
Precisely. Our bodies are incredible instruments that allow us to move, create, communicate, and experience a wide range of emotions. It's like a musician playing an instrument. The instrument itself is just a tool, but in the hands of a skilled musician, it can create something truly beautiful and inspiring.
It's like that scene in Coco where Miguel picks up his great-great-grandfather's guitar and suddenly feels this surge of passion and connection to his musical heritage. The guitar becomes a conduit for something much deeper, something that transcends the physical object itself.
That's a wonderful analogy. And just like a musician needs to practice and refine their skills, we need to learn how to use our bodies effectively to express our miracle impulses and connect with our true selves.
So it's about treating our bodies with respect and care, not just for their physical well-being, but for their ability to help us connect with something beyond the physical realm. It's like that saying, your body is a temple, but instead of temple dedicated to worship, it's a temple dedicated to expressing our unique gifts and connecting with others.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And remember that connection is what ultimately brings us true joy and fulfillment.
This is all starting to make so much sense. It's like we're piecing together a puzzle, and with each new insight, the picture becomes clearer and more vibrant. But I have a feeling there are still a few pieces missing.
You're right. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, but there's still so much more to explore in this section of entry. A Course in Miracles will be back soon for part 3, where we'll delve even deeper into these concepts and uncover even more hidden gems of wisdom.
Wait, what?
Welcome back, deep divers. It feels like we've been on this incredible journey through the inner workings of our minds and spirits, exploring A Course in Miracles. It's like discovering a whole new dimension of reality. It's challenging, exhilarating, and definitely mind-expanding.
I agree. It's a journey that invites us to question our assumptions.
Yeah.
To look beyond the surface and to discover the profound potential within ourselves.
And speaking of profound potential, in our last segment, we were talking about the body as a tool.
Yes.
The idea that our bodies are more than just physical objects, but instruments for expressing our true selves.
Yes, and just like any instrument, the body requires care and attention to function optimally.
Right.
But the real artistry lies in understanding its deeper purpose.
Right.
Recognizing that it's not merely a physical shell, but a vehicle for expressing our true selves.
It's like those epic movie training montages where the hero hones their physical skills to achieve some greater mission. Think Rocky, Kill Bill, or even the Karate Kid.
Exactly. The training isn't just about physical prowess. It's about discipline, focus, and aligning the body with a higher purpose in the context of A Course in Miracles. That higher purpose is about expressing love, connecting authentically, and ultimately remembering our inherent wholeness.
So it's not about obsessing over six-pack abs or fitting into a certain size.
No.
But about using our bodies to create, connect, and contribute to something bigger than ourselves.
Precisely. Imagine a dancer who's so focused on their technique that they forget to feel the music, to lose themselves in the rhythm, to express the emotion behind the movement.
Yeah, they'd be like a robot going through the motions, missing the heart and soul of the dance, like those perfectly synchronized dance troupes you see in competitions.
Yeah.
They're technically flawless.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just want to see a little more soul, a little more improvisation,
Exactly. The body becomes a conduit for something much deeper. deeper.
Right.
Something that transcends the physical form.
Yeah.
And that's where the real magic happens, when we move beyond the limitations of our ego and allow our bodies to become instruments of love and connection.
Whoa, that's deep. It's like those moments in music when a musician goes beyond just playing the notes and pours their whole heart and soul into the performance. Think Jimi Hendrix setting his guitar on fire at Monterey Pop.
Yeah.
It was a statement, a transgression, but also an act of pure expression, of merging with the music in a way that transcended the physical instrument.
That's a powerful image, and it speaks to the transformative potential of aligning our physical actions with our deeper purpose. It's not about denying the physical world, but about seeing it as a canvas for expressing something greater.
Right.
Something that connects us to the divine spark within ourselves and within all beings.
So we've explored miracle impulses, distorted perceptions,
Yes.
the body as a tool, and the transformative power of all.
We have.
What other key takeaways should our listeners be reflecting on from this section of A Course in Miracles?
One crucial concept we touched upon earlier is the importance of breaking free from fantasies.
Ah, yes. Fantasies, those seductive illusions that promise happiness but ultimately lead to disappointment. So those beautifully packaged products with misleading labels, they seem appealing on the surface, but they're often filled with empty promises and artificial ingredients.
That's a great analogy. Fantasies are like those deceptive Instagram filters that make everything look perfect.
Right.
But in reality, they're just masking the imperfections and creating a false sense of reality.
It's like those reality dating shows where everyone's vying for a fairy tale ending, but real life is way more complex and nuanced than that. Or for a more literary example, think of Don Quixote tilting at windmills.
Yes.
He's so caught up in his fantasies of chivalry and heroism that he fails to see the world as it truly is.
Exactly. Fantasies distract us from the real deal.
Okay.
From authentic connection, genuine love, and the deep satisfaction that comes from living in alignment with our true selves.
Right.
They create this inner tyranny where we're constantly trying to force reality to conform to our expectations,
Right.
which ultimately leads to disappointment and frustration. So how do we escape the clutches of these seductive fantasies? Do we need some kind of spiritual detox?
The antidote to fantasy is awareness.
Okay.
It's about recognizing those moments when we're slipping into illusion.
Right.
When we're projecting our desires onto others or clinging to unrealistic expectations.
So it's about being honest with ourselves and recognizing when we're trying to force a square peg into a round hole.
Yeah.
Like if we're constantly feeling frustrated because our relationships aren't living up to some romanticized ideal,
Right.
maybe it's time to take a step back and reassess our expectations.
Precisely. And that honesty can be incredibly liberating. It allows us to let go of those fantasies that no longer serve us and to embrace the beauty and potential of the present moment.
It's like finally taking off those rose-colored glasses and seeing the world with fresh eyes, appreciating things as they truly are, imperfections, and all it's about finding beauty in the ordinary, the messy, the imperfect, and recognizing that true joy comes from accepting reality rather than trying to force it into some preconceived mold.
Exactly. And when we do that,
Yeah. We open ourselves up to genuine connection, meaningful experiences, and a deeper sense of peace and fulfillment.
wow, this has been such an incredible deep dive. We've covered so much ground, from miracle impulses and distorted perceptions to the body as a tool and the pitfalls of fantasies. What a journey.
It has been quite a journey. And remember, this is just the beginning of our exploration into A Course in Miracles. There's a whole universe of wisdom waiting to be discovered within its pages.
And as we continue to delve deeper, I have a feeling those miracle impulses will become even more powerful, guiding us toward a life filled with love, connection, and authentic joy.
I couldn't agree more. And for our listeners who are eager to continue this exploration, I'll leave you with a thought-provoking question to ponder.
Okay.
If fantasies create an inner tyranny, what small step can you take today to move towards genuine freedom?
That's a powerful question to sit with. Until next time, dear listeners, keep diving deep, keep exploring, and keep those miracle impulses flowing.
Absolutely.
Wait, what? Wait, what?